Let's first look at the navigation system on the left hand side. You see we've got a number of different headings like bookings, finance, rates and minimum stays. And to the right hand side of each heading we can click and that will collapse that section. If we click again it will expand it. To the left of each menu item link we've also got a star, and if you click that star it remains permanently highlighted. So we can go through and click the items that we're going to use the most, and down at the bottom here if we click starred now it will only display our starred favourite menu items. We can click the full menu button to restore and view everything, and also we've got a button here, hide menu, and if you're working on a smaller screen it might be useful to hide the menu and then show it again when you need to navigate onto another page. If we go to the bookings calendar link now, you see we've got a very familiar layout with our rooms down the left hand side and dates across the top. We can switch between a 1 day, 11 day and 30 day view on the calendar, and these arrows here allow us to jump forward and backwards in time. We can also jump to a specific date, and we can get back to today by clicking the today button. If we just take a quick look at the screen options tab, as we go down here we'll see the header row repeat would allow us to repeat the date header after a certain number of rooms. In a small setup like this where we've only got 12 rooms that's not particularly useful, but if you've got 50 or 60 rooms then that feature really does come into its own. As we go down here the most important section is the one that allows us to choose which fields are going to appear when we make a new quick booking, and we can see the ones that are highlighted by default. We might also want to add in a phone number, for example, so we could tick that and that would appear when we make a quick booking. As we go down again at the very bottom here, this is quite an important one, the ability to toggle between a time-based bookings view and a date-based bookings view. If we just close this and have a look at the calendar again, what we can see here, we've got two bookings, both of whom are leaving on the Saturday, and it's quite clear that the guest in room 6 will be leaving earlier. You can see there 7 AM than the guest in room 5, who's obviously arranged a late checkout at 1:30 PM. So they display later in the day. Now not everybody likes to work that way, so what we have is the ability to simply toggle that to a date-based view where it will block out the whole of that day. So there, some people find that much easier to interpret what's going on the calendar. The disadvantage of doing it this way is that it doesn't show you information about the guests who are checking out today. So again, if we just go back, obviously we can see now we've got 4 guests who are due to be checking out, and one of whom we can see from the colour coding here has already left. So if we had a guest on the phone who wanted to make a booking in a double room for 2 nights arriving on Saturday, what we could do is use the unit filter to ensure we're only displaying double rooms on our calendar. So what we'll do is we'll click on the calendar and drag so that the booking is arriving on Saturday and obviously leaving on Monday. When we let go of the mouse we get our quick booking screen, and in order to make a booking all we need to do actually is enter a last name on here. If the guest's booked with us before we can search the customer database. And we can pick whichever guest we've got on the phone. So you can see there it's pre-populated their contact information. Now if this were a guest who hadn't booked with us before, so long as we retain some unique information about them in addition to their surname, such as their phone number or their email address, that will create a new customer record for them and we'll be able to retrieve their information in this way. The customer records also allow people to have an account balance. So if somebody is a regular guest, sometimes it will be possible for them to have credit in their account which can be used towards a new booking. So having got the guest's information, if we now click on the little room tab here, what we can do is put in the number of guests, and that will then suggest a rate based on the rate values we've loaded in the rate tables for this particular rate plan. In this case, bed and breakfast for a double room. It's possible to have multiple rate plans in iBex. So here I can see we've got a room only rate loaded as well. So if I click that, it will recalculate the rate and it will give us a suggested rate value there. £65 per night, £130 total. If we go back to bed and breakfast, if this were a regular guest, it is possible to override this rate manually. Okay, so as long as we've put the number of guests in there, it will always work out the prevailing rate for us here. What we can do now is we can go and we can change the projected arrival time of this guest, and then I'm just going to deselect the email button there because I don't want to send an email. But what we can do here is we just click the book link, and that would create a booking on the calendar. Just before I do that, I just want to show you we've got some other options here. So it's possible to create a held booking, and that's one that you would see as being blue on the screen, so that's like a provisional booking. It's also possible to just simply create a quote, so if somebody wanted to know how much it was going to be, they can come back perhaps at a later date and you can reactivate that quote and then convert it into a booking. But what we'll do here is we'll make this an instant confirm booking, and that appears now on the calendar. So that's our first booking that we've input. Now if for whatever reason we needed to move this guest from one room to another, we can simply pick it up and drop it into another room. If the guest decided they were going to stay for an extra day, we can click and drag that booking on the calendar. So it really is as simple as that. And then what we can do is, if we wanted to go in and add any further information about this booking, if we click the booking record here, this now shows us some summary information. So if we go across all the tabs here, we could record any extras that this guest might have booked. We can record additional information about the guest. We can view a log of all the emails that we've sent. We can make notes, and importantly we can track and record any payments. From within the booking record we can go back to the bookings calendar by just clicking this show on bookings calendar link. You can see we've got 3 guests who are due to check out and 1 guest who's already checked out. The best place to view these is from the arrivals and departures view. So starting with departures, we can see that this guest, 10:32, has got no balance owing on his booking, so we could simply check this one out. For the others, we can see there is a balance owing, so what we'll do is we'll go and have a look at the bill. We go to the finance tab here, we go to payments, and then from here we do this as a cash payment, £150. We click save and exit, and we can now see that shows the booking balance is now 0. If we wanted, we could check the guest out from here, so let's do that. And then if we look at this on the calendar, we see the colour has changed now from green to pink because they have also checked out. If we go back to this arrivals and departures view, we've got 1 guest remaining now. And what I'm going to show you for settling up the bill for this one is we've actually got this account integrated with a payment gateway called DPS, and I'm going to charge the guest's card from within iBex for this particular booking. So again, what we'll do is we'll go onto the Finance tab, we'll go to Payments, and this time for payment method I'm going to select DPS Purchase. We'll put in the amount, and in the Comments tab we'll put something like balance. So when we click Save now, it gives us the option to click the DPS link here so we can put in this case, a test credit card number, and then as we click Submit here, the payment gateway will actually charge the card and give us either an approved or declined response. So we click Next, and this then updates with the correct payment reference and appears up here, and that's now paid off the balance for this booking. If we look at the Arrivals tab now, we can see we've got 2 guests who are due to arrive today. Assuming Mr. Jackson has just arrived, what we can do is we can print his guest registration form, which has his contact information on there, and also the names of the guests are down here. So what we can do is we can tick the box and check them in either at the current time or at the time they were due to arrive. So if we now go back to the calendar, we can now see Mr. Jackson is checked in. In our final section, we'll just take a look very quickly at how you can change your rates. On the calendar, if we just click the Rates and Minimum Stays tab, we have 2 views within here, long term and short term. If we look first at short term, and we look at the bed and breakfast double room rate, what this is displaying is a single occupancy rate of £70 and an additional person price of £20, making £90 for double occupancy, and this is for a 1-night stay. What we can do then is we can simply click in there and we can change the rate, and from the key here it's showing us that anything highlighted in blue has been changed but hasn't been saved. So let's click Save on there, and that's now updated the rate for tomorrow night. The long-term view gives you greater flexibility with what you can do. So let's say, for argument's sake, we wanted to change the rates for our single room for every Saturday night between now and the end of the year. We'd click here and then we get a small pop-up. It allows us to set the date range we wish to apply this to. So let's go to December and to the 31st. Now we've done that, it shows us the days of the week. So we deselect all those dates that we don't want to affect. We enter our rate change and we click Set Rates. When we close this now, it will refresh the calendar, and we can see that for our bed and breakfast single rate for a 1-night stay, all the Saturdays are showing as £65. We can also introduce a 2-night minimum stay requirement on a Saturday very easily. If we take a look at our bed and breakfast rate for our twin room, currently that's only got a 1-night minimum stay set up. So what we do is click, change the stay to a 2-night stay by entering a 2, again, what we would do here is we would pick an end date. We'll just do this for a fairly narrow date range. We'll put the days in that we want this to apply to, and we'll increase the rate to £60 for single occupancy, and we set the rate here. So that's now created a 2-night stay, but in order to force people to stay for 2 nights we need to remove the rate for 1 night. So I've picked that from the drop down, and what we're going to do now is we're going to click clear rates. So we confirm that's what we want to do, and we click close, and what we can see now is that our bed and breakfast rate for our twin room has no rate entered for a Saturday, which will force somebody to stay for the Friday and Saturday, or the Saturday and Sunday. And again, if we zoom forward on the calendar, we'll see this is true for every Saturday between now and the end of December.